When we planned our trip to Peru, we put Machu Picchu in the middle as the centerpiece. It's one of the most famous ruins in the world and has all sorts of Indiana Jones type folklore connected to it. I was expecting Machu Picchu to be impressive, but I was not prepared for how impressive all the other ruins would be. I mean, this one, Tempo Machai, is hardly a ruin. The fountains still work perfectly, and the walls are still standing. These are not the most ancient ruins in the world. The Inca Empire was going strong until the 1500s, but these are still 500-year-old fountains that continue to flow even after earthquakes that crumbled the later Spanish buildings. The irregular masonry is almost magical in its weirdness. Archaeologists still do not have a definitive answer for how these walls were constructed. The first ruin we went to was Chinchero. We took public transportation there, and there weren't any signs or guides. Basically, we just wandered around wondering what the different buildings would have been for. Chinchero has a very high altitude, hundreds of meters higher than Cuzco, 3,800 meters total. We walked around for a couple hours. The most impressive thing was how large the ruins were and how empty. Peru is just so full of really impressive things that no one has time to develop a guide for these minor ruins. When the Spanish conquered Peru, they didn't destroy the Inca buildings completely. They used the foundations and built their buildings on top. Why destroy perfectly good walls if you can recycle them? But there's an undercurrent of oppression. It's not really under anything. It's right there on the surface. You have a temple, we will build our monastery on top. But here's the thing. Oppression does not mean extinction. The Inca's Coricancha temple foundations stayed firm even through earthquakes that crumbled the Spanish buildings. Like the strong foundations that survived through earthquakes and centuries, the spirit of the Quechua people has not been completely lost. I know most of these shows and dances are probably put on for the benefit of the tourists, but the pride and caring of the people is real. Even after centuries of having another culture built on top, the people of Peru have remained strong. I came to Peru expecting to see some ruins, and I did see some. They were as romantic as any decaying European castle. But I was so impressed by how not ruined stuff is. The buildings are so impressive and remarkably intact even after centuries of modern building, and the culture of Peru seems comfortable with its dual Spanish Quechua heritage. I'm sure there is tension religiously and politically, but the Inca heritage is right there on the surface. As much as it has been oppressed in the past, like the amazing foundations that survive earthquakes, Quechua culture has survived and is celebrated. The celebration of a historically oppressed people is wonderful, even if some things feel kind of fake, even if there is still exploitation of the poor. This celebration of diverse heritage makes me hopeful for Peru.